We are back, baby. Welcome back to the NFL 2025-2026 season. It's your boy DFS Up North, aka Josh Thomas, and we are back with the 10 under 10 videos this year for DFS Army. You guys know the drill. If you've watched this last year, I give you 10 plays for each site. 10 for DraftKings, 10 for FanDuel that are all projecting under 10% owned currently. And we talk about it. We help you guys take down the big GPP. We're going to get into it here. Let's talk week one. As you know, DFS Army is one of the best sites out there. In my opinion, it is the best. We win week in, week out. And maybe the most important thing, guys, that we do is we teach you how to be a winner. And one of the ways that we teach, or one of the ways that you can become a winner, is by utilizing these under-owned guys in your lineup. Now, let me just say something real quick here. All right. I got 10 plays for DraftKings. I got 10 plays for FanDuel. Some of them cross over, but you don't want to make a lineup that is all low-owned plays. All right. Even in something like the Millie Maker. All right. We typically see lots and lots of chalk in big GPP winning lineups. All right. And you don't want to roll out a lineup that the total ownership is like 60. All right. That's crazy. We want to keep that number typically somewhere around 120 to 140. That's me. You can go a little bit higher if you want. You can go a little bit lower depending on the week. But chalk is chalk for a reason, guys. We don't want to overthink things. All right. So with that being said, as you're building lineups, all right, you slot one or two of these guys in. All right. You're building in the DS, the domination station that we have here at DFS Army, which is our optimizer, best in the business. You maybe say, okay, I want to give a little love. I want to get a little adore to a Bo Nix. All right. I want to play, I want to get a little bit of maybe Michael Penix Jr. All right. And here's the deal. You're going to look at some of these plays and you're going to maybe choke a little bit. Almost like you swallowed a bug. All right. But that, my friends, is how you win. I've always said one of my mottos for DFS is, if you ain't first, you last, right? I'm not playing to win. I'm not playing to min cash. All right. If that's for cash games, that's for double ups, head to heads, things like that. This is for strictly GPP builds. All right. Jaden Daniels, great play at quarterback this week. Great play. I'm probably not touching him he's somebody that I'm going to play in GPP, but with a Jaden Daniels and Deebo Samuel maybe stack, or Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin stack, I'm throwing in one of these guys that are going to be under 10%. All right. That is the path to success here. All right. Before I go any further, remember you can use that code NFL 2025, right? That is going to get you see it right there, 50% off your first month. All right. Use that, get that money. You can click the link below. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can check that out. If you find me on Twitter at DFS Up North, X, sorry, not Twitter. Sorry, Elon. Don't nuke this vid. All right. You can use that. You can use my link. Right. I would appreciate it. But yeah, just use that at code NFL 2025. I want to see you in the Discord. That's another thing that we'll talk about later. But our Discord, man, whoo, that thing is cooking. We were watching the game last night. Fun that NFL is back. I am so excited. So without further ado, people, let's get to it. This right here, my friends, if you can see me, is my, I believe, yep, this is my FanDuel cheat sheet for this week. All right. There are 10 plays here on the duel. All right. That you can utilize to help you guys take down that GPP. And like I said, you don't want to, oh, sorry. No, that was my FanDuel one, wasn't it? No. Here we go. Yeah. There we go. So that you can use to get it under. Like I said, this year, new thing. Used to be this was an article. Now we're doing it in a cheat sheet. And because it's in a cheat sheet, I'm giving you 10 for FanDuel and 10 for DraftKings. I'm going to talk about FanDuel first because you know what? FanDuel's got the money back Millie Maker this week, right? Which, if you don't know what it is, you get 150 lineups, $5 a lineup, and anything that doesn't cash, you're getting your cash back. You got to play it the next week. All right, you got to get back in, but a really strong thing. So 3 quarterbacks over there. I've got 3 running backs, 3 receivers, and a tight end. Let's get right to it. The first guy is one that's going to be on both DraftKings and FanDuel because I love him this week. Bo Nix, team total of 25. All right, what are we loading here? What are we loading? Am I getting kicked off? Geek's booting me here. My goodness, what is going on here? Back to FanDuel. All right, Bo Nix going against the Titans. Team total of 25. That's the second highest on the slate. We've got a lot of close totals this week. All right. So I really think that, I want to target this game. Team total of 25. This is an elite offense. I really have high hopes for this offense this year, even with my boy Javonte Williams heading to Dallas. All right. I'm a super big fan of the Denver Broncos this year. We got Bo Nix at quarterback. Got Cortland Sutton, who we're going to talk about in a little bit, Marvin Mims, all right, and a slew of turd tight ends, all right. I really think this is going to be a big game. The only concern that I have is that Cam Ward is terrible, and the Broncos get up and they pound the rock with RJ Harvey and everybody else that they got. They got about 4 backs in that backfield, and we don't need to throw the ball now. That being said, Cam Ward is the only Miami Hurricane left, all right, in the NFL. So I do think maybe he's okay, right? Everybody else got cut. So Cam Ward really must have carried those Hurricanes last year. So like I said, I do think that the Titans have to be competitive in this game. But, maybe you run it back with a Calvin Ridley who's looking a little bit chocolatey or a Tony Pollard, all right? So I think this is a potential big game for Bo Nix, one of my favorite plays. All right. Moving down the list. Like I said, you're going to feel like you swallowed a bug here. And we've got my boy, Michael Penix. As you can see, we've got let me just scroll up here. DVP 27, DFSA grade 59.76. Our projection is 17.2. He's projecting at 3% ownership, 22 team total. So they're going to be dogs. To the Bucks here. And I think we see Penix kind of crush, right? I think the Penix era is here. The Bucks defense gave up an average of 1.6 touchdowns last year. They're one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. Obviously, the concern is just Bijan being Bijan. We saw him get a ton of touches, but we have seen, the Falcons throw the ball to their running back. I think we're going to see more of that with Bijan this year. I think that Bijan is a smash play. We talk about playing the chalk. We're playing Bijan this week. And I typically, there was somebody that was DMing me earlier on Discord talking about sending me some lineups, asking me my thoughts. And typically, I'm not playing quarterback and running back together. So it was a Joe Burrow and Chase Brown lineup. That's not something that I'm normally going to do. Here, though, a Penix and Bijan stack, totally fine. All right. Now, I do love my boy Drake London this week. I think that he's going to have a big game. The books agree that the Penix is going to throw it a ton. They could put the yard over under at 234. I think this is a correlated leverage play, right? I said chalk. You don't have to play Bijan, right? We can avoid that chalk and go Michael Penix Jr. and Drake London. All right. So that's what I call correlated leverage, meaning that we play something that if that does well, the chalk is likely going to struggle. All right. But yeah, I just think that Penix is going to have a big year. I think that he's a legitimate NFL quarterback. I think that, we're going to see him maybe go through some growing pains, but not against the Bucks. All right. The Bucks are terrible. Finally, my last quarterback, I still don't know how he is only 1.5% owned at 6,600, maybe because he's a little more priced up on FanDuel, but that guy is Joe Flacco. All right. The Cleveland Browns are going up against the Bengals, who are bad on defense. Best offense in the NFL. Bad on defense. All right. I love a lot of Bengals this week. Talk about another guy here in a bit, but I think that, typically I'd say a cheaper quarterback like Joe Flacco is a silly for the millie play, but in this spot against this defense, he's a legitimate option. All right. Mega cheap, lets you fit in a bunch of chalk studs. You can feel better about him maybe than Michael Penix just because we've seen Joe Flacco do it before. The ownership is still pretty low. I think he's viable in cash. Most people are going to go Jaden Daniels. Totally understand. If you wanted to pay down and then pay up somewhere else, which is sort of trending towards a less likely build now with all the drama surrounding Christian McCaffrey. Again, if you want to know what to do with CMC, become a DFS Army VIP. We got you covered in the Discord where, all of our content or our lots of content that we have is free, but Those insights are likely going to be behind the paywall for the VIPs. Geek's going to be, I'm sure, covering that tomorrow in his building session that he does in the afternoon. So Joe Flacco, you pair him up with Michael Pittman. You pair him up with Josh Downs. I really like Josh Downs this week as another guy. He's not listed in my 10 out of 10, but he's a separate a play this week if you want to get some action on a low-owned wide receiver. Easiest stack is Jerry Jeudy, who I think is due for a big year here. You could run him naked. But there's another Brown that I like maybe a little bit better than Joe Flacco stacks coming up here. All right, so those are the 3 quarterbacks for FanDuel. Like I said, we'll get some crossover on DraftKings. You know what? Why don't we just go slide over to DraftKings and we'll talk about the quarterbacks that I have over there. Let's see. We've got Kyler Murray, Bo Nix, and Joe Flacco. So we talked about Bo Nix and Joe Flacco. We can see that the ownership is a little bit higher on Flacco over here at 4.19%. The game total of 47, team total 21. We can see the DVP is still bad, the DFSA grade. Our projection's 15, but he's 15, and these guys at over 50. Much more expensive are only projected for 4 more points. So, but the guy I like over here is Kyler Murray. I get that this is an ugly game, but ugly games are typically what we see win early in the season, right? He's got it's a ceiling play. All right. He has the potential to go off for 25, 26, 30 points, right? Which I think would be a monster game for Kyler Murray. And here's the thing. Everybody's talking about Marvin Harrison having a great year. Everybody's talking about Trey McBride being one of the best running back or the best tight ends in the NFL. If they're going to do it, it's going to be with Kyler. And Kyler can run the ball. All right. It's weird to me that we are in week 7. But yeah, I think we have a potential top 5 QB this week at a cheap price, low ownership, sub 5%. Right. The ceiling is huge with his running ability. We could see a game like Jalen Hurts last night where he sneaks in for 2 touchdowns and we smash. So love me some Kyler Murray this week. We talked about Bo Nix and Joe Flacco already. I think they're both outstanding plays on DraftKings. I think Flacco is a better play on DraftKings than he is on FanDuel, but I think he's viable in both places. As we scroll down, what are we doing with Kenneth Walker? All right. What is going on here? Why is he at 5% ownership? That's insane to me. Kenny Walker's a stud. We know the Seahawks are going to run him into the ground. We see it happen time and time again. The ownership is so low. Am I worried about Zach Charbonnet? Yeah. Or Charbonnet. Sorry. I am. He is a stud. And I think that he needs to get more touches. Do I think that the Seahawks are going to give him more touches in week 1? I don't. All right. I think that this is a spot for Kenny to smash against the 49ers. He scored both of the last 2 games against these guys. It's going to be a close game. 23-20 is the team totals right now, likely behind. It's going to be a little bit lower scoring game because I think both teams are going to just run the ball at an absolute ton. So I love Kenny Walker this week. I think he's a great option. But the next guy is a play on both sites for me, FanDuel and DraftKings. And I think that he is the play of the week for me, and that is Jerome Ford. All right. Jerome Ford is the running back for the Cleveland Browns going up against a Cincinnati Bengals defense that is trash. All right. And watch them like ball out while I've been just talking smack about them all week. But Jerome Ford is the guy here until Dylan Sampson picks up the whole offense or Kinshawn Judkins gets back. I don't think that Ford is going to be the guy all year. I think there's too much young talent on this Browns team at the running back position. But right now, he's the guy, and they're going to run the ball. All right. They've talked about how Ford's an elite pass catcher out of the backfield as well. I think we see some Flacco checkdowns. I think he's a better play on DraftKings just with the PPR potential upside. But yeah, he's going to have a big day regardless of the score here. I think that the Bengals are going to ball out. And they're gonna the Browns are gonna have to keep up, but I don't think that we see Ford get game scripted out here just because of how explosive he is. He's gonna have a big day. Lock him up. Jerome Ford's core play for me on both sites. I put that out there on our cheat sheets over here for DraftKings and FanDuel. So I am all over him. And the final guy is a guy that I think is gonna end up as one of the best running back plays in week 1, despite the buzz on the backfield mates that he has. And that's Travis Etienne. All right. I think there's a lot of buzz here about Bashal Tootin. He's Tootin, right? And Tank Bigsby. But Etienne's elite. He is explosive. They talk about how much they want to use him to really open the game up. Vegas doesn't know what to do with him. They put the prop at 55 yards. I think that he's going to go over that against the Panthers. And yeah, the coaches are all about him. So we're getting a guy at sub 1% ownership. That's insane. He's got GPP winner written all over him this week. So, I love a good Travis Etienne. And let me just say, 10 out of 10 or 10 under 10, not 10 out of 10. I'm not going to hit 10 out of 10. All right. Again, guys are low on for a reason, but you hit 2 or 3 of these, this is for the MM years. All right. Or you know what, if you're going single entry and you feel like you can let it burn, do it. That's, like I said, one of my mottos is if you ain't first, you're last. And the other one is that you got to be willing to light the money on fire that you are spending on DFS in your current yard, because that's what it is. All right. Especially if you're chasing big tournaments. All right. So GPP money, you got to be able to take it out of your wallet, walk into your front yard and light it on fire and be okay. All right. That's how you win. All right. So elite spot for Travis Etienne. I get that there's a lot of sort of buzz around some of his backfield mates in Tootin and I can't even say that with a straight face, guys. In Tootin and Bigsby, but this is my guy this week. I think Travis Etienne's an elite option here. So flipping over back to FanDuel, right? We talked about Jerome Ford being a great play. Let's talk about the other side of the ball and Chuba Hubbard. All right. Hubbard is a top 15 running back in the NFL. He absolutely is. All right. 3% ownership. I think this game potentially pops off because both of these defenses are pretty bad. He's a 4-star play for me this week. I am all over him. He is going to get a ton of carries. Rico Dowdle does not scare me. This is Chuba Hubbard's backfield. They're going to need to establish the run for Bryce Young, so he's going to get a bunch of looks to tout the rock. This is a high upside, solid floor play with Chuba Hubbard this week. I think he's fine on DraftKings. I just like the price tag at 6,400 on FanDuel a little bit better. And then Alvin Kamara. People talk. Kamara is criminally underowned on FanDuel every single week because he gets this. What is it? It's not necessarily. It's a stigma that you can only play him in PPR. All right. He absolutely is viable on FanDuel. We've seen him in the winning lineups multiple times, right? But people don't play him over there. 7.79%. I think he's almost 14 or 15% on FanDuel, or on DraftKings, double the ownership. Lock him up, right? Spencer Rattler's terrible. They're going to lean on Alvin Kamara a ton here. I think that he has a big day against the Cardinals defense that really doesn't scare me at all. All right. Again, 22 in DVP. Again, I'm playing him a lot in those Kyler lineups, but I'm gonna just sprinkle in, as Kev would say, a little bit of Kamara everywhere. Going to wide receiver, I talked about the Denver Broncos. I love Cortland Sutton. I think that he's a great play this week. We are seeing that ownership creep up. So when I wrote this, he was at about 8-ish%. We're seeing him climb a little bit to 10%. But he is a great play this week. Pair him with Knicks, run him on his own. I think Sutton's going to be a clear-cut number 1 this year, and we're getting him at, again, just low ownership at 6,700. Jalen Waddle, far too cheap. The Colts defense has improved a little bit. They got some new guys back there, but he's going to pop off after a pretty poor, I would say, 2024. Let's see. What's the Sutton ownership on? Yeah, 10.88 on DraftKings as well. And then this guy, Xavier Leggett, 2 Carolina Panthers, baby. Bob is going to love this, right? 2 Carolina Panthers in my 10 under 10. I think Bryce Young is better than we give him credit for, but Xavier Leggett is legit. You can't understand a word he says, but he's legit. All right. The only concern I have about Xavier is that with Adam Thielen not there, he's not going to be able to translate for him to Bryce Young and to the coaching staff. But no, he is a legit receiver. We've seen him get over 8 targets in 3 of his last 5 games last year. They're starting to build that connection with Bryce Young. Now with Thielen gone, he doesn't have the translator, but he does open up some targets. I think, people are very high on the other rookie wide receiver here, or the rookie wide receiver here, but Leggett in his second year, I can't get over the 4,200 price tag on DraftKings, the cheap price on FanDuel as well. I think that he is going to smash. At tight end, DraftKings, okay? I think that a unique build this week is going to be to play a expensive tight end. And I am more willing to do that when we just don't have a lot of great cheap options. All right. You're essentially with Brock Bowers here, who I'm talking about, is you are essentially getting a wide receiver one. All right. Brock Bowers is the wide receiver one for the Las Vegas Raiders. Geno Smith at the helm now, loves the tight end. All right. We're going to see Bowers. We watched him last year as a rookie have a fantastic season. He's not had a quarterback. Like, he's 6,500, one of the most expensive, or the most expensive tight end on the slate. Would be on if the entire NFL was playing, probably. And he hasn't had a quarterback. He's getting passes from Aiden O'Connell. All right. He is going to smash this year. Wide receiver one upside at the tight end. Play a cheap guy like Leggett in your lineups, and then lock in a Brock Bowers. You can play like a Trey McBride as well. All right. But I love Brock Bowers on this slate. I think that this is a massive, massive leverage spot. He is climbing. He's climbing back towards that 10%. But again, I'll play him up to 15. I don't care. It gets towards 15, 20. That's when I start to say, all right, we can't be doing this here at the tight end position, especially. But I am all over Bowers on DraftKings, on FanDuel. I prefer him on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I'm a little bit more apt to play the cheaper tight ends here. And there's one cheap tight end, if I can actually click on the thing, that I really like on FanDuel, and that is Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry is a guy that I think we forget about at times because he's been just so consistently pretty good with the Patriots. He's been there for 5 years now, which is crazy to think that it's been 5 years since he's played for the Chargers, but he is an elite option over on FanDuel at his price tag. There we can go. We can see the name as we sort of scroll. Oh, we can't even see the name because I can't see because my head's in the way. We'll have to fix that for next week. But Hunter Henry, 31st defense, the Raiders are against his position, 2% owned. Like, he's going to be a huge red zone target for Drake May. Josh McDaniels now being back in, you know how he loves the tight end. We saw him make careers for Gronkowski and Hernandez and others. And yeah, he is going to, this is a perfect spot to attack. I love Henry. Like I said, I'm paying down a little bit more on FanDuel. I'm going to play Henry a ton on DraftKings as well. I didn't put him over there, but I think that he is going to be in the top 3 tight ends this week. I think he scores. So if you're a betting man, he's probably plus 400 for an anytime TD for the Patriots. I think that's a great value. So love me some Hunter Henry. And now, that's 19 players or 19 spots that we've talked about on each site. Let's talk about the last one, and that is a defense. It's not often that I will list a defense here unless I feel really, really confident in it, and that is the case this week with the Broncos. Seems like sort of the teams I'm on here this week are the Broncos, the Panthers, the Patriots. Who else? The Cards a little bit, right? And the Browns, right? Man, that again feels pretty gross. But yeah, so the Broncos, they're going up against Cam Ward. We talked about that. If you really want to get crazy, you could go Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, and the Broncos defense. That is a silly for the Millie type of play. It's not often that we see that correlated. If you really want to know what's correlated, you want to watch the Shark Lab Chronicles that my boy Burnsy does. That you can find that here on our YouTube channel. Again, if you're an DFS Army VIP, use that code NFL 2025 for 50% off your first month. But yeah, the Broncos D, like, smash play. I very rarely pay up for D. I always try to say, all right, what's the lowest the lowest viable defense? And this week, I am just going to smash the Broncos. Like, the spot's too good, guys. Like, it is a good defense, a very good defense, a defense that turns the ball over a ton against a rookie QB in his debut. Like, I can't avoid that. All right. I can't avoid that. I love the Broncos this week. Let's see, are they getting up in ownership at all? No, we got them at 7.39%. It's not bad at all. So we're going to be smashing the Broncos this week. So in recap, Jerome Ford, core play. Don't use all of these guys. Mix and match. Love the Bo Nix stack. All right. Love a little Kyler Murray sneaky snack. Run it back with Alvin Kamara. I think that could be a sneaky GPP takedown stack this week. We might see multiple rushing touchdowns from our boy Kyler Murray if they let him loose. That's what I got for you guys this week. I appreciate it. Leave me in the comments who you think the best under 10% owned play is going to be. We will see you guys later. Again, this is your boy DFS Up North, aka Josh Thomas, here with DFS Army. Use that code NFL 2025. Get your 50/50. Hit me up in the Discord. Let me know that you came from here. Cheers, guys.